Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Grayson Phillips, and today I'm going to give you a little overview of Operation Market Garden. Some background before we begin to dive deep into what Operation Market Garden really was and what the objectives and the failures of it were. Operation Market Garden was one of the largest Allied operations of World War II, just behind the D-Day invasion. It was one of the largest airborne operations to take place during World War II, and it was also one of the largest airborne operations to take place to date. The operation took place from September 17th to September 25th of 1944. The overall objective of Operation Market Garden, the goal of the operation was to secure bridges which were critical to the Allies flanking the German lines. There were three primary areas of interest, though one was more critical than the rest. The three rivers were the Rhine, Waal, and Maas. The area of heavy primary focus was the Rhine River, particularly the stretch which ran through the town of Arnhem, which was known as the Lower Rhine River, right around here in Arnhem. In terms of the forces that were involved in Operation Market Garden, it was a joint airborne operation involving the United States 101st Airborne, 82nd Airborne, along with the British 1st Airborne Division. The 101st Airborne would take the bridge at the Maas River over here. Then they would advance north and link up with the 82nd Division, which was in the middle up here. Lastly, the 1st Airborne Division would take Arnhem and were to have reinforcements from the Guards Armored Division to back them up as they were in Arnhem on the Lower Rhine up here. However, that did not exactly turn out the way it was supposed to in terms of all the forces linking up with one another in the end. The amount of troops that were involved in this operation: for the 1st Airborne Division, there were 6,769 troops. The 82nd Airborne Division had 6,527 troops, and the 101st Airborne Division had 2,656 troops. This does not include the Pathfinders that were included, as well as engineers, pilots, supply and transportation and logistics officers, etc. The Pathfinders are a critical thing to note, because without the Pathfinders, this would not have been a mission that could have even been carried out. The Pathfinder's job is to get supplies that are dropped from airplanes and then link them up with the troops that are jumping out of the airplanes as well. So the Pathfinders are responsible essentially for gathering up all the equipment once it has been dumped from the plane. So the equipment that was used: the 1st Airborne Division had 358 gliders or tug planes. They had 145 Douglas C-47 Skytrains, which you can see here on the right side of the screen. The 1st Airborne Corps headquarters needed 38 gliders and tugs in order to get their field grade officers in place. The 82nd Airborne Division had 50 gliders or tugs and 482 Douglas C-47 Skytrains. Lastly, the 101st Airborne Division had 70 gliders or tugs, and they used 424 Douglas C-47 Skytrains. The Battle of Arnhem. The Battle of Arnhem lasted for 9 days and was a drastic failure for the Allied forces. The Germans were well positioned within the city and had far more artillery and reinforcements available to them than the Allies had. The Germans were not only able to hold their ground, but they were able to maintain full control of the bridge over the Lower Rhine River during the battle, preventing any of the Allied vehicles to cross to advance into German-occupied territory. The bridge is right here, as you can see where the cursor is on the right by Frost, just outside of the outskirts of Arnhem. In terms of troop losses, the U.S. losses totaled 3,996 dead, wounded, or missing, while British and Polish losses were between 11,000 and 13,000 dead or wounded, and 6,450 captured. German casualties numbered somewhere between 7,500 to 10,000. At the end of the day, the German army had won the battle, and it was a tough loss that set the Allied forces back. Tactics used. The Allied forces attempted to implement the U.S. airborne operations using paratroopers and pathfinders to drop in Allied troops, vehicles, and equipment to flank the German forces and prevent the destruction of key bridges, and then occupy the bridges to bring in heavy artillery and armored divisions to shell the German forces. They attempted to use 3 separate airborne divisions, with the goal being that once one had taken and occupied a bridge, they would be able to move and reinforce the others. They drastically underestimated how quickly and efficiently the 3 divisions could complete their objective and occupy their respective bridges. Issues faced. Reinforcements were not readily available to the Allies. They did not have enough artillery nor armored vehicles. There was a heavy shortage of food rations for the troops as well. We crashed at Woodbridge with over 100 holes in our Lancaster. After debriefing, I laid on my bed and could not stop shaking for 12 hours. The MO said the best cure was simply to get back up again soon, and of course we did. No counseling in those days. In terms of the outcome, this is a quick quote from Martin Middlebrook. Arnhem. It was the last major battle lost by the British Army, lost not by the men who fought there, but by the overconfidence of generals, faulty planning, and the failure of a relieving force given too great a task. In terms of lessons learned, Operation Market Garden could have been one of the greatest success stories of World War II, just behind the D-Day invasion. The lessons learned was to over-prepare in every aspect possible and to always plan for the worst. Men, unlike machines, get tired and can only perform at their maximum capacity for a short period of time. Relief forces must be readily present in an abundance of numbers as well. A quick quote here, which took place at the final conference at Montgomery's headquarters in Operation Market Garden. On the narrow corridor that would carry the armored drive, there were 5 major bridges to take. They had to be seized intact by airborne assault. It was the 5th, crucial bridge over the lower Rhine at a place called Arnhem, 64 miles behind the German lines, that worried Lieutenant General Frederick Browning, Deputy Commander, 1st Allied Airborne Army. Pointing to the Arnhem Bridge on the map, he asked, "How long will it take the armor to reach us?" Field Marshal Montgomery replied briskly, 2 days. Still looking at the map, Browning said, "We can hold it for 4. Then he added, "But sir, I think we might be going a bridge too far." In conclusion, Operation Market Garden was a failure due to lack of planning and enough sufficient relief forces for the Allies.